Hey everybody, Barry at C-Tech Review. We've got two of our friends here with us today, Car Guy Online and Jason Samko. We just want to do a live announcement kind of talking about the big Ram surprise. So we will just jump into this. You guys good with that?
Oh, yeah. We got it wrong, and we're fixing it. Last year, Ram killed the Hemi V8, and people had opinions. The same people that killed the Hemi sent me out here with these comments. It's not happening. We own it, we got it wrong, and we're fixing it. You hear that? That's our Hemi, and it's saying, I'm back. Did he say what I think he said?
Heavy B. That's funny.
Hell yeah, it does.
I'm not noticing any new vehicles here. Looks just like the Rebel.
Buckle up. Ram's coming back to NASCAR.
Back in NASCAR. Okay.
Are they bringing back the Tick, the Hemi Tick?
Go.
That's a freebie.
Is that free?
Back in America's motorsport. The Hemi's back, and we ain't going anywhere.
Hemi is back.
So
Okay.
This guy, I mean, nothing against, I know a lot of people like him, but he seems like a dude that needs his own like reality TV show. Like he really loves being in the spotlight. He flew in on a helicopter in the Ram Charger event. Like the dude is a showboater, you know?
Yeah. He, I can see, I think they're just really trying to focus on a ton of hype. That's what it seems like. That's been the big thing for the past few years. And, I'm probably a little bit corny myself, I guess. I think it's kind of neat in some ways. But it is a little bit, I don't know if I say over the top, but it's intense. There's some hype around it. But everything basically, we knew the last few days is what it is. 5.7 e-torque in a Ram 1500 all the way up through, not including RHO and tungsten. No TRX launch yet. A lot of hype that there was talk on that. I was with Tim from Pickup Trucks Talk and SUV the other day. We got a video coming here in the next few days, and we're kind of talking about all this. And even we kind of agreed that like the 5.7, I'm all about people having options, and I think you guys are too. Let the data speak for it. Let people have the options. But if this would have been a 6.4 392, I think people would have been probably more jazzed, because this is just really bringing back what was available in 2024.
Yeah. It seems goofy that it's so much hype around something that you didn't really R&D or do anything different. You just brought it back, kind of fired up old assembly lines, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. The other thing is, I think, Jason, you were talking about this, that did the Hemi come back to Michigan, or is it still made in Mexico?
It's back in Michigan. It's going to be made in New York and then also in Michigan. It's coming both. Wow. So it's going to be made in Michigan. So we definitely like that aspect. But, when we I taught my photographers all the time, that shoot for me, I always had two rules. One of them was garlic. And the other one is, if you got to make a picture speak, it's not worth listening to. And those two things kind of apply. The garlic is, with garlic, less is more. If you got to make it talk, it's not worth listening to. It should be able to speak for itself. And that kind of thing applies here. I mean, I'm glad we got the options for this thing, but realistically, it's still a 22-year-old, a 16-year-old version of a 22-year-old motor that is anemic at best, and it's had its share of problems. Am I glad it's back? Fantastic. Great. But I think the Hurricane was the right direction. And I think moving forward, this Hemi, what I hope is they put it out in 2026 and people get excited about it. Maybe for 2027 or 2028, we get a new one that's actually going to have some real power. Even a 6.4, love the 6.4, no offense to it, and I know people laugh at me for this, but in a time and day where you have a 2.7 liter 4-cylinder turbo, single turbo engine that actually puts out more torque than a 6.4 Hemi does, times are getting kind of crazy, and this motor needs. I'm glad it's back. I'm glad it's options for people. I'm glad it's simple, push rod kind of style, old school motor. But and that's a great thing. But it's lacking. It needs some jump.
Yeah. Yeah. Wait, what is someone writing here? I'm not sure what that's about. I don't know if you guys
wait, I got to go to comments, right? Don't I? Wait, how do I see those?
On the right-hand side.
Yeah, no TRX, big disappointment.
Made me laugh. I'm not sure what that is. That something you did on your channel, Jay, that I'm not aware of?
Where's that? Is Jason going to get on his back and spread? Oh, I did. Actually, I was doing an oil change, and they loved the view. It was a very good view with my shorts.
I'm like, wait, is there something I'm missing here?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They were all over it. These guys were like, dang, look at that. 50 and fabulous.
Oh, that's great. I haven't laughed like that in a minute. Yeah. So I'm kind of with you guys. Like, I'm glad that there's options. I think I just would have been more excited if they would have brought the 392 or 6.4 because it's more power than the old Hemi. So even if it's not a new motor, there's never been a 392 and a 1500. And I think that'd be sweet. I'd still probably pick a Hurricane because I'd want the fuel economy and the low end torque, but man, having a 392 in a 1500, I think would be a pretty sweet truck, but I guess we'll find out and see. There's supposed to be a lot more announcements coming here in the next few months. I've heard 22 or 21 more announcements coming. So I guess we'll just see what it is. I don't know if you guys saw the video. Tim from Pickup Trucks Plus did a video, a short, and it's on TikTok where they're talking to Tim Kaniskis about the $40,000 truck. Did you guys see this video? It's really good, but the comments in this video are even more interesting to me. And they asked him, will we ever see a $40,000 Ram 1500 again? And he said no. Because there's not enough margin, even in a tradesman. He's like, we could strip all these options out of this thing. He's like, and what are we going to drop the price? Maybe $1,000. He goes, it's not going to get us to that point, even if you strip major stuff out. And a tradesman doesn't come with much already to hit that $40,000 mark. And he goes, Ram will not be the loss leader again. And I thought that was a comment that everybody that's watching Ram right now should remember that comment. Because if you really think of where Ram, Stellantis, Jeep, Dodge has been successful the last 25 years, it's selling it. They don't make any money. If you really think about it, this is why the company's always been in financial distress and bankrupt, because they sell vehicles that cost 40 grand for 35 grand. They make them for 40 and sell them for 35 or whatever the number is, and they lose money. And I think that comment from Tim really tells a story that we should all probably think about. I don't know. Did you guys see that?
No,
but to add,
it annoys me though, because it's like you can say that from his perspective. And did you guys just watch TRD John just got an RHO?
I did. Yeah,
hilarious.
I didn't see that yet.
First video, right? He drives the thing home. He's got a check engine light.
Yep.
And so here's a message for you, Tim, or whoever's watching. Tim. Like, build a $70,000 truck that doesn't have a check engine light after 1,000 miles. Like, that's
for sure.
People don't want that.
Yeah.
And that's
dude,
this is why Toyota, even with engine problems, will always be the company that people are running to for quality. If it's just, I mean, look at this. Build a V8 that doesn't have a tick. Build a V8 that doesn't have crankshaft problems. GM. Like, nobody even builds a V8 that's good anymore. This is like, no one's going to be excited about this. In my opinion, like I know it's negative, but it's like, okay, we get the old Hemi back that had all these problems that people complained about. And if GM's the same way, it's the 6.2 has problems, the 5.3 has AFM, DFM issues. Where do we go?
To go back to even what you said there, Barry, about him with the prices. I am definitely, I don't own a manufacturing company, so I don't know how all this stuff works, but I can't imagine with the salaries that people make, with the cost of what it is to do this stuff, how much these plants are, the electricity alone at them, all of the marketing, all of this stuff. I cannot for a second believe that it costs that if they make a $40,000 truck or they want to sell a truck at $40,000 that they can't, that they're losing money on it, or that they can't. How can you look at these these trucks that are built by the same companies in all these other places, and you can get them for $20,000. You can get them for $15,000 vehicles that do well and all this stuff. So again, I'm not into that. So I don't understand the backside of it.
So here's my thoughts on it. 20 years in the automotive industry, from tier 1, tier 2 automotive suppliers, background of engineering design for automotive. Generally speaking, if you look at historical norms for automotive manufacturers, at the end of the year, their earnings for their shareholders, they're somewhere going to fall between 5 and 15%. That's the company profitability. So after you take all the costs with everything, the company's making 5 to 15%. Now, here's something else to think about. I've been thinking about this the last day. How much is a new iPhone, 512 gigabyte iPhone 16 Pro? $1,300, right?
Okay, I don't use iPhones.
$1,300 for one of these things. So you think about it like that, it's like a cell phone is $1,300 and it's got to be made in China. And a Ram 1500 pickup truck with 4 doors made in Warren, Michigan, being $40,000. When I think of that scale, it's like, dang, that's actually a value. When I think about how expensive this silly phone is, and people are going to replace this every 2 years because this thing's going to go bad. The battery's going to be junk or the screen's going to crack. I'm not justifying the whole situation with Ram and the pricing, because I think more needs to happen. But if we look at traditional legacy car manufacturers like Ford, GM, Ram, not Tesla. Tesla is a bit of an anomaly. The most affordable vehicle right now is what? The new Maverick, probably made in Mexico. You can't even make it. Yeah, $40,000. Exactly. So it's like $40,000 and it's made in Mexico. It's not made in Michigan. So when you think about all that stuff, I wonder how they can get their costs down. And to add, I should have put the screen up. I actually went and built a 2025 or 2026 Ram 1500, Ford F-150, Super Cab, Silverado 1500, and I compared base model, all 3 of these trucks, and MSRP on these trucks all hovered between $43,000 and $49,000 after destination charge. But then you add in the discounts that Ram's offering right now. A Ram 1500 with the Pentastar 6-cylinder quad cab work truck, it's like, I think it was like $39,000. That's not MSRP. That's with discounts available. So I don't think we're off too bad. You know what I mean?
Well, I just got done making a video. Did it actually when I was heading out on Friday, gone for the weekend for weddings, but I did on Friday. But I was up at the Ford dealer, and I think the video comes out tomorrow. But they had a F-150, basically your pure fleet truck, an F-150 with the half cab on the back, and then the 6.5-foot bed kind of thing, the little baby tires, 2-wheel drive with a 5-liter V8 in this thing. And I'll have to look at the video, but I want to say it was $47,000. And it was 2-wheel drive, 5-liter, pure white, steel wheels, bottom of the barrel, XL model. Yep. And you think about that stuff. I mean, you're talking $50,000. I compared it to an STX. It was the same exact price. Yep. And the STX was much nicer, not had a 2.7 in it. But it's all these manufacturers, they bump their head. They bumped their head with the prices on them as far as how, it's getting crazy. There's no doubt about it. It's getting hard to swallow. And, like Car Guy said, our biggest battle we have today, we're willing to pay the prices. We're willing to buy the trucks. We just want them to work. Why is it so hard to get them to work today? Reliability. And then on top of that, make some parts for them for us. You know?
Yeah, for sure. So when you guys see this announcement from Ram, what's your thoughts? Like the last week, we see obviously the Hemi's back, and NASCAR, they're in the NASCAR thing. What's your guys' thoughts? This was a big lead up. I mean, we've been hearing about this announcement for about 3 or 4 weeks. I'm just kind of curious, like, is a lot of speculation, obviously, like, people asking, like, is there a TRX coming? Everything I've heard, it's on the docket. But they're still trying to look at the business case. I've been saying all along, and I'm not just saying this because I'm biased because I have an RHO. I don't personally think bringing back the TRX is a good business case. I think it's good for the consumer, but if I'm the manufacturer, I don't think it really makes sense. Especially if it comes out and it's the exact same powertrain as 2024. if they don't make suspension changes or 37-inch tires or 800 horsepower, what's the point? And if people are worried about RHO value dropping, I wouldn't be, because it's probably going to be $30,000 to $40,000 more expensive. So there's still going to be a huge place for the RHO.
Yeah, I personally don't care about the trucks that are perceived as the YouTuber trucks, like the RHO, the TRX. The average everyday truck for most people aren't going to spend $80,000 to $100,000 on a truck. They
True.
sold 1,700 TRXs in 3 years. Like, I don't give a crap about that. You're bringing back a truck that is for like 0.01% of the population. Great.
Yep.
Nobody cares.
Yep.
Nobody cares about the NASCAR announcement. Like, nobody other than NASCAR fans. And even then it's probably like minimal. So for me, what they say about their margins is very telling. And it's exactly what we've been hearing from other people in the industry. It's like the margins are all they care about, which means profit, which is what you have to do when you run a business. So from their perspective, they don't want to pump out a bunch of $40,000 trucks,
right?
$35,000 trucks and make $1,000
No money. Yep.
They're going to sell one truck at 50 and make 10 grand. Like, you can't blame them from a business model perspective, but the companies that are going to win are the companies that, like, we'll see what happens with a Toyota and their TNGA platform. If they start building that Tundra, you're starting to see them in the 40,000 range for SR5s. If they get them reliable, well, who's going to buy a Ram with a Hemi if it's cost the same as a Tundra if it was reliable, right? Like, so then it comes down to what Jason said, is who's going to build a reliable truck. If General Motors got rid of DFM and put that 6.2 out again, I know it'd be crazy, but I think that thing would sell like hotcakes. A normal truck with a 5.3 or a 6.2, some kind of average, or like Toyota's 5.7, their old 5.7. Who cares about like 1 or 2 miles per gallon day to day? Everybody cares about reliability that I talk to. And and maybe they'll just get through warranty with these trucks. The new guard will be like, we'll make them a little bit better, and then they'll sell it 45 to 50,000, and that's kind of the new $30,000 to $35,000 base truck. It's just 10 grand up because inflation and everything. But I remember in 2017 buying a brand new Tundra it was like 36 something out the door with a 5.7. So that's, look at 8 years ago. So that's probably inflation. You're probably over 40. You're probably not going to ever see that again.
So that's a smoking deal. So you, in 2017, like, is that a cloth interior truck?
Yeah, it was an SR5.
Okay. So,
but it was like, it was an SR5 double cab with a 6.5 foot bed, and it was like 36 out the door. So that's about as cheap as you're gonna find.
Oh my gosh!
But
Jason, I remember in 2010, Jason and I got matching F-150 FX4s with the 5.4 liter V8. And I paid $37,000 for that in 2010. And that was with A-Plan family pricing and $2 grand under A-Plan. Like, so that deal you got was a smoking deal. Yeah.
My last F-150 go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead, Jason.
I was just going to say, I don't remember what I paid out the door, but the MSRP, I remember because I found a window sticker not long ago going through files, but my 2018 F-150 was the last F-150 I owned. That was XLT with the sport package and stuff on there, the rear locker, that kind of thing. And the MSRP on that truck was $46,000, and that was 2018.
Yep. Yeah. It would be interesting, and we've talked about this in other videos. Where Ram could hit a home run here, it's not about the engine, it's about reliability. If they get this thing dialed in and reliable, that is to me the most important thing right now. So, but
they're not changing it. It's the same exact motor. Nothing's changed. Still e-torque. And that e-torque doesn't worry me a whole lot because it's basically an alternator, is what it is for the most part. Yeah. So I don't worry about it a whole lot, but we're just, I think it's because all three of us are big truck enthusiasts, and we love them all, but on the same note, we are just so tired of customers getting raked over the coals by constant problems and constant getting peed down your back and told it's raining when it comes to parts and things like that. If I had a nickel for every comment that says in there, they're like, well, let's see that you can't get a GM part for like 6 months. Should have bought a Toyota. To look at Toyota, look at how long it's taken them to get stuff done there too. Look at how long it took Ram for things. Look at how long it's taken Chevy to get, it doesn't matter who it is. These companies just don't care about the customers anymore. So I'm glad Ram's bringing back the Hemi, and I'm glad they're actually listening to the customers that wanted it. And I think it's a great thing, and they need the option. They don't have it. Their sales are down almost 12%, 11% because they got rid of the Hemi. They need it back. Great on Tim for acknowledging it, but somebody just make something reliable and put some parts available for when something goes wrong.
Yeah. Do you think that it's actually getting rid of the Hemi why they lost market share? Because I actually don't think that's it. I think it's because they raised their prices so much higher than everybody else in the market. I don't really think it's getting rid of the Hemi, because this will upset some people, but someone else told me this the other day, so I'm just repeating this. I think there's a lot of truth to this. A lot of the biggest complainers of people that it doesn't have the Hemi are the people that are not going to buy the truck new anyhow. They're going to be the people buying it 10 years from now. Yeah. So so I can't see that actually impacting sale losses in the last 12 months. And I've owned 8 Hemis, and I've actually never had a problem with the Hemi. They've all been great. They drink gas, and it wasn't a spectacular V8, to be fair. I think the 6.4 is a little better engine personally. I think it actually performs a little better. And the 392, if it stays reliable for valve train, man, that motor rips. That's a great motor. I drove a 392 Wrangler, and it really impressed me. But I don't think it has to do with the Hemi being gone. I think this is Tim at Ram trying to reinvigorate the brand, and they're using this as an example to get people excited. But I truly think their issue is their pricing. And because if you look, they started losing market share, February of last year, before the hurricane even came out.
Yeah, and it goes back to what he said, which is we don't want to build the bottom margin truck. So your perception is that you're a bottom margin truck, so people don't want to overspend on a brand that is perceived as the lower of the three. Even though when you watch people review Rams and people honestly talk about them, they think their interiors are better quality. They think, they're actually built really well compared to GM and Ford, but they seem to have trouble shaking that image of being like lesser quality.
I couldn't agree more. And there's something about this. This drives me mad. People say, well, it's still a Dodge. It's like, bro, they haven't made a Dodge truck in 13 years. It's a Ram. That was a strategic initiative from Ram or FCA 13 years ago to drop the Dodge nameplate, because what were people used to with buying a Dodge? Bad transmissions, rusty fenders, and bad transmissions. So what did they do in 2013? They said, ZF, the best transmission manufacturer in light duty vehicles, give us a solid transmission, and they hit it out of the park. Still the best transmission out there for the half-ton trucks. And they started zinc coating and e-coating bodies and frames. You don't see a 2013 or 14 or newer Ram running around anymore with rust on the body. You know what I mean? You would have thought they would have shook that image. But I do think, in full fairness, some of the bugs, some of these little electrical gremlins on these 2025 trucks have definitely, like TRD John getting a check engine light. I mean, I bet you there's some guys at Ram right now saying, guys, we got to do something here.
Well, they should have been. It's GM does the same thing. Like, we have a running joke in my family. My stepdad and everybody owns GMs up in like ranches in Colorado, and all their check engine lights are on these like 10-year-olds. And it drives me nuts, but they make a joke. They're like, oh, that just means the engine's running. Like, that's what I thought that meant. And they don't even try to fix it anymore, because it's running fine and it's just part of some charcoal box in the back or whatever it is. But yeah, it's a thing, man, with domestics.
Yeah, for sure. This is a good comment. This is what I was saying. People seem to forget the last year the Hemi sat and depreciated like crazy. Their pricing gone up. 100% agree. That's it. I think they're just using the hurricane as a scapegoat. That's why. And so Ram's giving people the Hemi. Personally, I don't think it's going to increase sales much. I mean, I overheard Tim say something like, if they're successful with this, they'll pick up 2 to 3% of their market share loss 2 to 3%. So this is all for like maybe 20,000 more truck sales a year in a Ram 1500. That's nothing.
See, now I see it as different from the based on the comments. You know, I read every comment that comes in on the channel. And these guys want, you know, so many are anti-turbo, so many hate the Hurricane. And if you look at Ford, if you go buy a Ford right now, you get a 2.7, you get a 3.5, and an F-150, you get a 2.7 or a 3.5, 2 turbo options that are amazing motors. And you get the Coyote V8 right there if you want it. You go over to Chevy. Not in Chevy, you get a 2.7, amazing motor if you want it with a 100K warranty. You get a 5.3, you get a 6.2, and you get a diesel in there, the 3-liter. You get all these options. You go to Ram, you go on their lot, you get a Hurricane. That's it. You get a 3-liter inline 6, which amazing motor, but they're not giving people those options. And I think so. If you know, with Ram's got the trims. Ram does the trim levels so perfectly with their way they trim their trucks out, I think. But giving them now 2 options in there, I think, me personally, and based on all the people in the comments, they're, I'll buy it in a heartbeat. I'll buy it in a heartbeat. Even when I say put a 5.7 in it, or talk about 5.7 in a Gladiator, everybody, I'll buy it in a heartbeat. Buy it in a heartbeat. So, and for $1,200 more, I think it was it $1,200 or how much more?
Yeah,
$1,200 more. I got a feeling that me personally, my guess, I'll bet that number of Ram sales is going to go up quite a bit. Now, it does work at the same time in conjunction with what you were saying about prices. What we had to deal with Tavares and that BS stuff going on there in a pricing structure, it hurt Ram hard, just like how people are still calling them Dodge. You know, this is going to carry over for them. But as soon as people realize that Ram, getting 20% off on a Ram truck is not hard to do. Trying to get 7% off on a Ford today is like pulling teeth. So when you realize the backside of it, when you really start diving into the deals, Ram is still a smoking truck with a great deal. And now the fact that the people that want it with a Hemi can get it, you know, me, I'll take the Hurricane all day long. I won't touch another Hemi. I want the Hurricane. Yeah. But the fact that people that want the Hurricane or the Hemi now have a V8 option, I think those sales will jump up pretty good myself.
So, you know, what's funny, as we're talking about this, thinking about it, I'm like, man, GM has got 2 V8 options in a 1500, kind of cool, plus an amazing little diesel engine, plus an amazing little 4-cylinder turbo. That's cool. And then I think Ford, they got 3 boosted options, no diesel. And then if you want to add, you could say electric, but so does GM. And then the V8. You know what the market share take rate of the Coyote is on an F-150 of all their F-150 sales? You know what that percentage of take rate is?
I do not.
25%. 25% of the F-150 sales are V8. The other 75% are boosted variants. And then I think, okay, so you got Ford's got all these options. GM's got all these options. Then you got Toyota. You got one option at 1.5. You got a turbo. What is it called? The Force Max.
3.4 turbo. iForce Max.
You got iForce Max in the standard version.
But look at the sales numbers for the only 2 companies out there that this year offer a single engine, Ram and Toyota, and look at their sales numbers for 1500s.
That's an interesting point. That is because but didn't Ram tick up last year? I thought, or no. Not sorry, Toyota. I thought the
Toyota was killing it, and they still are. I have a question for you. This is a tough question. What would you rather see? 4 engines in a truck, 3 of which suck and have problems and like 500,000 recalls, or would you rather see 1 good, reliable engine that can, like, maybe it doesn't have the rumble, maybe it can't do everything, you know, maybe it's like,
I'm going reliable for sure. 100% agree, dude. This is where, when you said that, there's so much truth. And this is all a cultural thing, guys. I notice this working in the automotive industry. You work with Toyota, you work with these Japanese manufacturers. They just focus on getting it right, and they're going to work on one thing and one thing alone. Americans, Europeans, what do we like doing? Complicating things, adding too many options, then quality variables kick in, this, that, and the other. It's all just choose your poison. I think if Toyota wouldn't have had that hiccup in 2022 in the Tundra, this story would be so different right now, because Toyota would be such a leader in that reliability. But that really, I feel like, to be fair, guys, I feel like in the last few years, every single brand has got humbled up. Yeah, everybody that thought they were a top king, dude, they got humbled up. General Motors, the king of small block V8s for 100 years, boom, one of the biggest recalls in history.
Yeah. And then you also, what's that called? car guy, you know the word I'm looking for too. What's Toyota call that cake? What is it? It starts with a K. They're Kaizen. Is it Kaizen?
Yeah.
Oh, the Kaizen method for quality?
Yeah, the way they do that. And that's true. And I think Toyota's on the right track. But I mean, everything here's where it all gets washy, though, is because like you take Ram, who got rid of a Hemi, and their customers and people complained about it. And all of a sudden, here they are. We're bringing it back. You can have it. You want it? We'll bring it right back for you. And then you got Toyota, who, like, for example, on the Tundra, with you still have no tow hooks on any of their off-road.
Oh, my gosh.
And for 4 years, people have been arguing about it, and they still won't put them on there. You know, it's just everything is, you know, there is no perfect truck brand that does anything right. Sure. You almost want to take a Toyota motor and put it in a Ford body and give it a Ram interior and give it Chevy ZR2 capabilities. And, you know, build your own from all of this stuff. It's like, you know, it's all just exciting yet frustrating and upsetting at the same time.
Okay, so I got one for you guys. So three reasons why I've never bought a new Toyota vehicle. First and foremost, and this is just full honest transparency, I worked in the automotive industry, Detroit, for 20 plus years. And you get that biasness, you know, you're going to support the big three there in your local community. It's like my neighbors, my friends. I want to help them. So that's definitely been a big impact of why I never drove a Toyota. But in the last 2 years, I've been kind of liking the look of the new Tundra. I like the look of the new Tacoma. I like the look of the new Sequoia, the 4Runner. I think they look awesome. And I think their interior has gotten more aligned to the things I like. But then there's the third reason why I've not bought a Toyota, and that's been what puts the most money in my pocket. And traditionally, I think most people would believe that a Toyota is a great resale vehicle. But Jason and I talked about this when he had his Tacoma a few years ago. And please correct me if I'm wrong. And I know you're probably gonna jump on me, car guy, on this, but I'm just prefacing this. I think that Toyota resale looks good from a dollar standpoint 3 to 5 years down the road, but you pay more for it up front. So really, when you look at that delta of cost of ownership, it doesn't matter if the vehicle's 30 grand or the vehicle's 100,000. If you buy a Raptor for $70,000 and you drive it for 3 years and you sell it for $70,000, that's a home run. But if I go and buy a $30,000 Tacoma and sell it for $25,000 3 years later and lose $5,000, technically the Raptor is a better resale vehicle. And so I see that the resale 3 to 5 years down the road on most of these Toyotas is higher than all their domestic competitors. But I also look at when there's the rebates and all the discounts when you go to purchase the vehicle, it seems like the Toyota is also more expensive. I'm just curious your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think it depends on what you bought it for. Toyotas, you're going to get them for their, you know, close to their price that they're selling them for. But you do see now Tundras, because of the engine issues, I think, and Tacomas, they're just sitting on lots. They have a lot of them, but they also, Toyota announced they're going to build more, sell more. So I think they're trying to fill lots with the Tundras and the Tacomas and just get them out on the market. But you do see, when I did the video on resale value for half ton, specifically the Tundra, even looking at just like MSRP values, and I tried to get within some range of what the lowest prices were on like cars.com, because those are usually the discounted prices. They usually put out all the rebates and everything on cars.com to try to get people to call. Yep. So I took the lowest price on GM, the lowest price on Ford, the lowest price on Tundras. And I compared that to resale value of ones that are like 3 years old, and the Tundras were way above.
I could see that.
It wasn't even close. So even though you're paying a little more for them, they're still, even with the engine problems in the third gen, still like 5% higher resale value than a GM or a Ford. The other, it's weird, trucks overall, that's not saying GM and Ford were bad for resale. All the trucks were like a way better resale value than everything else, because the price of the new ones keeps going up. Then the price of the used ones keeps chasing it
up too.
Yeah, and I think that'll stop at some point. It's going to bite people if they think that's going to continue. Like, it's going to come back, and it kind of started to come back this year until the tariff announcements, and then that again kind of spiked prices back up artificially. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, tariffs definitely threw a wrench in the
supply
price
chain. Yeah. So it's interesting. I don't know enough about Toyotas to speak on this, so I'm curious. I know this is a big deal on why heavy duty trucks and Raptors have held their resale value high, because you can't lease them. And generally speaking, when vehicles lease well, it hurts their resale. That's what's always hurted the Ram, because you could go get a $200 a month Bighorn, and then that hurts their brand, because there's a bunch of vehicles out there. I know, as an example, like I had my heart set on a mud bath brown, I think that's the color name, TRD Pro
Sequoia.
2025 Sequoia. This thing looks sweet. I love the exterior of it. I love the off-roadness. There's nothing in its class that compares to it. You got Fox 2.5-inch shocks. You got this sick roof rack up top, nice wheels, nice tires. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but Toyota's interior, with their analog age that they live in, I like it so much better than this digital age that everybody else has went to. I can still hit a button and turn off my cooled seats, heated seats, all this stuff. It's awesome. It's so refreshing, because I do all these reviews in these 2025 full-size SUVs, and I'm like, dude, this technology is not making my life easier. It's making it harder, and it's kind of annoying. And with that being said, Jason nailed it. You got the most off-road full-size SUV out there in the market. There's not even tow hooks on the front of this TRD Pro Sequoia. and I crawl underneath this thing, and I'm like, dude, it's got to be covered up. I don't even know where you could attach it. I'm just like, this doesn't make sense. And then the other thing about it that I thought was interesting, it's got these sick Fox 2.0, 2.5 shocks with remote reservoir, piggyback reservoir. Have you seen the placement of where they put the reservoir on the rear shocks?
Ding, 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 to be all beat up, damaged.
It's the shock upside down. Everybody in the off-road community, you always put your reservoir at the top so it doesn't get damaged from off-road.
Yeah.
Always, every single vehicle forever. They put it upside down, and it's in front of the rear axle. So if you're in rocks or off-road, you're going to hit that first. And if you break that reservoir, your shock is trashed. You've lost it. And so I look at this, and I'm like, man, you got this. Until you crawl underneath this thing, you got this really sick looking truck, these red billet upper control arms, and you got this nice exhaust, nice forged wheels, nice tires, nice front skid plate. And then I start seeing there's no recovery point up front. There's these shocks that are in the wrong position. And I'm probably being kind of hard on Toyota, to be fair.
No, dude, my 2008 Sequoia has metal skid plates and recovery points on both sides underneath.
So your older one had all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's all steel, like steel skid plates. And I don't worry about, I take it on a ranch and hit rocks, and it's just, you hear it scrape, and it's like, whatever. Yeah. And it's basic, but back then they cared. They even had an exterior transmission cooler on those back in 08, and they removed it in 10. And dude, everything since 2010, 2015, they've been removing stuff from vehicles.
And it's not just Toyota, man. I mean, I look at the 2025 Ford Expedition right now, and this thing's got some really cool, neat things. But then I look at, like, it doesn't have projector LED headlights. They've had projector LED headlights on that for 8 years. And now a $100,000 ultimate, man, what's it? Platinum ultimate, all these different terms. It's got reflector headlights. So yeah, getting off on a tangent. But it is a very frustrating time. And I hope, if where Ram could crush it right now, it doesn't have to be the Hemi or the Hurricane. Now it can be both. Make them reliable, make them affordable, and this brand will take off right now. I'm totally convinced of that. If
they were the first one, if Tim Kuniskis came out on a meeting and said, listen, or on a YouTube video or even in a commercial, and said, we're going to invest, $300 million or whatever it costs, he said, and we're going to start up 2 warehouses that are now going to house parts for everything, and we're going to make it where 5% of production goes to there till they are stocked in full. This way, none of our customers ever have to wait for parts again. This is no longer acceptable. If you were to be somebody come out and said that right there, everybody would buy Ram. They would flock to it immediately. Same with Ford, same with Chevy, same with something. People, according to my comments, the stuff we're seeing all the time, those are the 2 biggest things they are fed up with. Just build something that's going to run for a while without a problem. I don't have time. My life is too busy. 100%. I can't go to the dealer all the time. And then when I go to the dealer, tell me, like it used to be, Barry, how many times have we done this? I got to bring the truck in. You drop it off. They call you back an hour later saying, it needs this. We don't have it available, but it'll be here at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. We'll see you at noon. And it's done. Now it's ridiculous. And I had one guy even comment saying, I don't remember what brand it was, but on a truck he bought, he's like, there's going to be, it'll be 6 to 7 weeks before we get the part. And he's like, okay, we'll call me when it comes in. No, in order to keep your spot in line, your truck needs to stay here on the lot. It's like, are you kidding me? You know, you're not giving me a loaner. And it's like, it's all just, people are just fed up, man. They just, like,
for sure.
Great bringing back to Hemi. How about just tell everybody you're building something reliable and parts are available when it's not?
Yep. So my in-laws have a 2022 GMC Acadia Denali with the high feature V6. Talk about, like, I'm going to call that the Hemi of the V6s. This thing has been around forever, and it's actually a pretty reliable engine. At 30,000 miles, they noticed an oil leak. They thought it was an oil leak, but it actually ends up being a leak from the transmission. No big deal. It's under warranty. Get it in the dealership. This thing sat at the dealership for 3.5 months to try to get a seal for the transmission. Now, the dealer was good about keeping them in a vehicle and rotating a rental fleet, so that at least there was that. They were not without a vehicle. With that being said, 3.5 months. You know what ended up happening? They couldn't get this seal. They ended up putting a whole new transmission in this thing for a seal replacement because they didn't know when they'd be able to get the seal. And GM just said, throw a transmission in this thing. And I'm like, wow, think about the cost impact on that. They didn't pay anything for it, and it's running good right now. But my father-in-law, I love the guy. He's a great guy. He's a diehard GM guy for 60 years. His last GMC Canyon, this thing never saw snow. Easiest, most babied vehicle ever. Before the truck hit 17,000 miles, the transmission had been out 4 times, and it already had a new transmission, reflashed, torque converters, everything. And the seal of the deal on this truck was when they put the last new transmission in, the dealership forgot to remove the transmission jack from the back corner of the quarter panel of the truck. And when they dropped it down on the lift, it crumpled up his whole bedside. And you know what the GM dealer said? Don't worry about it. We'll make it right. He goes, well, what's making it right? He goes, well, we'll put a new fender on it. He goes, you're going to have to weld and cut the metal on my body of my truck, on this truck that's been babied. It's never seen salt, winter. It's never been an accident. I'm a professional detailer. You're going to match this paint up? He's like, he goes, well, we'll make it right. He goes, I don't even want the truck anymore. So what did the dealer do? Well, we'll give you a good trade. They gave him straight trade value to get a straight deal on a new truck. And I'm like, dude, screw these guys. I'm like, I'll help you. We'll go get another vehicle. So he ended up getting another GMC Canyon, but luckily it's the new generation truck, the transmission, no problem. But then his next vehicle, an Acadia, transmission issues again. And I'm like, man, if I were you, I would not buy another GM. You know, you're 2 for 2.
No, they're tough. The transmissions in them are tough.
Yep.
What do you guys think about? So all these engines, you know, everybody likes the Hurricane. You guys love them. The way they drive. My biggest issue with all of these is super boosted, high power engines, lots of electronics. They run great, usually under warranty. They get through warranty, but lately we've been seeing everybody have problems. My biggest question is, like, do people even need these engines? Because you guys do, like, when you tow stuff all the time, you use them for towing, but most of the data shows that like 2/3 of people don't tow anything. These are tech bro trucks, right? They're jacked up. Like, my neighbors have them and they never tow, and they're just going into Denver Tech Center and back, you know, with 37s and they're just humming down I-25, man. Just, you can hear them coming. Yeah.
America. So here's my thought on this. Jason and I are a little bit more unique in the aspect of towing, especially like me. Like, I'm towing kind of heavy, and like I'm going to be in the mountains here in the next few weeks, and I'm really going to appreciate that turbo, especially for the people that live out by you in elevation. Having a boosted engine at elevation versus a natural aspirated engine is a real big benefit for power. I think that a perfect example, like the Ram 6.4 392. If you had a 392, that would be an awesome engine for 99% of the truck owners. A 485 horsepower V8, great torque, great low end torque. It'd be amazing. But there's a big downside why we don't have it: fuel economy. You know how bad that thing would be? It'd probably be 5 to 6 miles per gallon worse than a high output Hurricane. Mm-hmm. So now when you think about, you're the manufacturer and you got to sell this vehicle, you got to go and hurt your entire your fleet average, because the fuel economy will be so bad. You know what I mean? So
and I thought in the Ram trucks, I thought that the 6.4 Hemi in the Ram trucks, I thought that was only like they toned it down in 2025. I think it's only like 405 horsepower, right?
wait, you're talking about the 6.4?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's two. This is where things get kind of confusing. There's a 6.4 and there's a 392. They're both 6.4 liters. The 392 was tied only to the SRT variants, and the 6.4 is arguably a more reliable engine than the 392. It's got different cams. You don't really hear people having problems with that engine. It's typically the 392 and the Charger, Challenger, Scat Packs.
But that doesn't go in a truck.
But it doesn't go in a truck, and that's what I've been hoping. If they put that 392 in a Ram 1500, it would be awesome. It would be an awesome setup, and it should be pretty affordable. It's a cheap motor to be, that they make. But my issue would be okay, I would totally go for a 6.4, or I should say a 392 RHO would be really interesting. A downside is I'm going to lose 50, 60 horsepower and probably another 75 to 100 pound-feet of torque and 4 to 5 miles per gallon. But like Car Guy said, at 100,000 miles, that 392 might be maybe more reliable, less stuff going on, easier to work on. So I don't know. I can tell you, I've had 15 to 20 boosted plus engines of gas engines. I'm yet to have a turbo go out. I'm yet to have anything like that go out. What I've had issues with is I've had a 2 Ford 10-speed trans, one be replaced, one be rebuilt. And I've had cam phasers now on one Ford 3.5. My brother is on his third set of cam phasers on a Raptor right now, 2017, which is ridiculous, but it is his third set. Yeah, I don't know. I don't disagree with what you're saying around the boost and all that. And at 100,000 miles, where will things be? Here's how I look at it. What's the serviceability? If that turbo is $500 like an EcoBoost and it's easy to change, I'm not so worried, because I can tell you right now, if you crack a manifold stud on a Hemi, dude, you're going to be wishing you had a $500 turbo to replace, because that's a $2,000 repair per engine bank. When that manifold stud breaks in the side of the head, and if you only break one, you're in good position, but that's a monster job. And it sucks. It's not like something we can all do. Where a turbo, we can replace a turbo in an EcoBoost. It's not that hard. It's just through the side of the wheel well. So like you said, man, obviously someone's capability, but I'm saying like the average mechanic can go and like swap apart in your garage. But like you said, all these engines now have these Achilles, heel here. I mean, it's like you got the 6.2 GM. This is now failing engines. You got Ford 7.3 Godzillas that have had issues. You got the Force Max engine failing. I don't know. Unfortunately,
transmissions.
Yeah. Fortunately, I've not heard of a whole lot of Hurricanes go down yet. I've not. Well, I've heard about thermostats in 2023.
Yep.
The thermostats on the 2023 Wagoneer, Grand Wagoneer. And you got to clarify, because there's a difference between the thermostat housing in the Wagoneer and Grand Wagoneer. And actually, I made a video on this. There's 3 revisions now. There's been 3 revisions on that thermostat housing. And the Ram 1500 has the latest version that never made it on the 22, 23, and 24 Wagoneer, Grand Wagoneer. So I'm yet to see that fail. Hope it doesn't jinx it for any of us. I'm not worried about that on my RHO. My biggest thing is worrying about electronic gremlins.
Hey, hate to cut you guys off. I got to run. Rona's here. I got grandparent duty. All right, we'll see you guys. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. See you
guys.
Yeah, I'll probably have to drop here shortly as well, because of a graduation party we're going to for one of my son's friends. But yeah, man, it is. I don't know, if I was going to buy a boosted engine right now, the RHO would be top of the list for reliability, just because I believe, I could be mistaken, but I think you have more bearing surface too, don't you? On an inline 6, you've got a lot more main bearing surface. So,
well, what I've been told, I don't have a background in engine manufacturing, but I've worked with powertrain engineers from Ford, GM, Chrysler for over 20 years. What I've always been told is that an inline 6-cylinder inherently will have less vibration because of rotation of 360 degrees and 60 degrees of rotation per cylinder. It inherently produces less vibration through all your bearings, which makes the engine supposed to last longer, which is why you see the 2JZ back in the day, the Supra, like this animalistic engine that just holds the power. You look at the Cummins, and then you see that Cummins goes into John Deere tractors and semis, and they're all inline 6-cylinders. None of them are V series engines. So the V only ever came out for one reason. They couldn't package inline 6-cylinders in a lot of vehicles because they were so long back in the day. So it was easier to package 8 cylinders, squeeze it down to half the width or half the length. So it was easier to package. It was almost like a 4-cylinder from a width or from a length standpoint. So
yeah, I mean, if the cheapest RHO I see now is like 63 roughly, and that's like across the country.
It's a level 0. Yeah. And so the level 0 truck though, dude, is nice. Like I got in that one and we did that video, level 0 versus level 1 interior. And I'm looking around at this thing and I'm like, my truck's 10 grand more, apples for apples. Yeah, you got hands-free driving. Yeah, you got cool, some nicer options, this and that. But man, for the money, $63,000. Look at what a new Tacoma TRD Pro Trail Hunter goes for. I had 67 grand for a mid-size truck with a Prius engine.
Hey, when you did your video underneath your RHO, man, those things are built proper. They really are.
This is where Ram, they've done a great job. You got a Dana 60 rear axle from a Ram 2500. You got a beefy skid plate underneath the fuel tank. The only skid plate missing that I would probably replace at some point would be under the transmission area. The transfer case is covered good. The front of the engine's covered good. I probably want one in that area. That's where the Raptor's got really good protection. Dude, you want to see some skid plates? You should see underneath a Raptor, especially like a Bronco Raptor. It's unbelievable. That thing is nuts.
Yeah.
But, well, I hope this is helpful for people. I mean, kind of my thoughts on this whole takeaway is Rams back in NASCAR. That's good for people that follow NASCAR. I guess this is like supposed to be a symbol of like they're coming back to their heritage. And to me, when I think of Ram, their heritage, a lot of value, a lot of bang for the buck, make it reliable, make it work. So maybe we're going to start seeing Ram be more competitive in that space. But my personal feeling after hearing the comments from Tim Kuniskis last week, they're not going to be the loss leader. They're not going to make vehicles at a loss anymore. So I don't know if we're going to see any more competitive pricing than what we already see.
No, I think, and American workers don't cost less than workers in Mexico and Canada.
No, exactly.
Either. So yeah, things are going to go up most likely. So
yeah. Cool. Well, I appreciate everybody logging on. If there's more to come on these, we got another video going live tomorrow night. Aaron from Mark Dodge. We're going to kind of talk about some of this stuff as well. Appreciate you guys checking in. And it'll be interesting. We got 20 more announcements going to be made from the Ram truck segment. So maybe there's a few tricks coming. Maybe we will finally see a 392 Ram 1500 or something else. I don't know. Maybe a TRX.
TRX, man. I was wrong on the numbers on that too. I said 1,700. It's more like 30,000 probably over the course of 4 years. Still peanuts compared to like total half-ton sales, but
yeah, for sure. It's a halo truck. They're never going to sell 50, 60,000 of them a year. Well, what's really crazy is I think they produce more TRXs per year than Sequoias, which is, I didn't realize the Sequoia is such a low volume vehicle. It's like less than 10,000 vehicles a year or something like that. It's a really low vehicle.
Always has been. Kind of shows that reliability isn't top priority for people. It's just comfort and other things,
I think it's a sweet vehicle. Yeah, it's a nice one. So
yeah.
Well, cool. Well, hey, I appreciate you checking in and being part of this with me and talking about this. And appreciate everybody and all the comments. Feel free to leave it below and I will get back to you with future comments as well.
Yeah, thanks, Barry.
Hey, thanks everybody. See ya.